Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first deep dive of the year. This is brought to you by Contact Creatives, and we're super excited for tonight's topic, which is getting started in modeling. Now, you may or may not know about the Contact platform, but essentially the Contact platform is a place where you can book models, photographers, and hair and makeup artists all in one place. So it is a very diverse booking platform. And the reason we're kind of having this deep dive tonight is because Contact is a really, really great place to get started. Even if you have no experience, if you need to get your foot in the door, if you need to kind of get started in the industry, Contact is a wonderful place to do that, because we celebrate talent here. It's not about experience, it's not about how long you've been in industry, it's not about the amount of connections that you have. We just celebrate unique talent. And so tonight we're hoping to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the modeling industry, how it all kind of works, what to expect as a newbie, and indeed some of the recent trends and experiences that some of our models have had over the time. Obviously, I am not here alone, and so I'm really, really excited to be joined by some very, very special guests this evening. I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves because I think, they will do it justice. So I'm going to start with Akira, if that's all right. Akira, would you mind telling us a bit more about yourself?
I am Akira. I've been with Contact, I'll say 2021 September, and I'm Japanese and Nigerian, and I feel like Contact is very diverse and it's very easy to work the app, and the team is very friendly, and it's just it's an easy interaction, and they do events and stuff, so it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone also to get to know the models and connect with different people.
Yeah, love that. Okay, thank you. I think you're going to be a Contact ambassador. I mean, that was brilliant. Love that. Really, really love that you're enjoying the platform. Jess, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jess. I've been a model and content creator for like 4.5 years now. And yeah, Contact was a really, really great starting place for me. And yeah, that's me. Hi.
Short and sweet. I love that. I absolutely love that. Zsanett, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so hey guys, I'm Zsanett. I've been with Contact, I think, the past 3-4 years. But actually this is not my starting point. I didn't start with Contact. I'm 22 now, but I started around 13, 14, the whole modeling back in Hungary, where I'm from. So it's been a bit of a longer journey for me. But Contact has been a really cool place. It's very different from other agencies, but we'll dive into that later. But I'm really happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation, Polly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for making the time this evening. Really, really appreciate it. And last but not least, Tamara.
Hello guys, I'm Tam. I'm the founder of Seventh Scout. I've been running the agency for about 2 years, I would say now. And I'm a partner agent with Contact. And yeah, that's me.
Wonderful. So for those who are listening, this is our panel of experts tonight. We're going to be grilling them. We're going to be throwing questions at them. So please, 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 if you are listening along at home, if you have any questions you'd like to pose to our panel, please do make use of the Q&A section. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on those, on that, to make sure that, we direct anything that we think they're able to handle. We can throw it at them tonight. So that's what we're going to do. To kind of kick off then, I'm just going to start a poll really, really quickly so we can get a better understanding of kind of who's actually out there listening tonight. And the question is simple. What is your experience level? Are you a newbie to the modeling world? Have you got a few years under your belt? Okay, cool. Okay, so thank you for those answers so far. Okay, so we got a few newbies in the house. Love that. Okay, good. Okay, so we got a good mix. We got a good mix here. We got majority people at the moment. They seem to be around the kind of, they're not newbies, but they're kind of in the development phase, I'd say. So we got some 2 stars and 3 stars there. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us in that. So let's kick off then, because like I said, I really want our panelists to speak this evening. So the first question, I wanted to kind of ease them into it a little bit. The first question I want to kind of throw at you guys is, why did you decide to get into the modeling industry? Now, Jess, I want to hear from you first on this. What made you decide to go into the industry?
So it started off for me about 4.5 years ago. I was scouted through Instagram for an editorial. So it was really off the cuff. I was working in catering at the time, and I wasn't planning on coming into the industry at all. I did a shoot, and as much as I loved it, I thought that was a great once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and that I would never do it again. And a few months later, I saw an open call on Instagram. It was a swimwear company looking for regular people to star in a campaign. And I thought, well, I've done one, I'll give it a go again. So I applied for the open call and got that job, and that's where I started. So it was like chance and then me pushing it.
Amazing. I love that. I really do love that. Yeah, it seems like a bit of an accident, but you found your way, which is the most important.
Accident, yeah, for sure.
Akira, what's your story?
I don't know, it goes way back to, I guess it's been more towards my friends pushing me or my family telling me, oh yeah, you should get into modeling. And yeah, I just took the advice. But I guess it was more my uncle that was pushing me, because he took me to agencies. And I think back in the day there was this 6 foot plus height, and obviously at that time I didn't reach that height. So like there's like come back later. Yeah, but I came back later, just been doing, I don't know. I find modeling quite interesting because I like speaking to creative people. So, my friend and my uncle pushed me, but I guess I push myself as well, because what modeling world brings and the people I can meet.
Should we move on to Zsanett?
Yeah, so I've started, as I said before, I started around 8 years ago. And for me, it's the very cliche story. I was walking in the mall around when I was 13 in Hungary, in Budapest, and this random middle-aged dude came up to me and said, "Oh, you're skinny and you're tall. Do you want to be a model?" And I said, "Hell yeah!" I said, "Why not?" I didn't know anything about it back then, and I didn't aspire to be a model. I didn't know I knew what that meant from social media or the TV, but I didn't have the idea that I could be a model. And I'm really happy it happened,
Oh, okay. I like that. Seems like there was a lot of raw talent in the room. Okay, I like that a lot. And Tamara, I mean, obviously you're not a model, like you said before. However, you are an agent. What made you take that leap? Why did you decide that, okay, I'm gonna dedicate my life and my time, my effort, my energy? And the reason I say all of that, Tamara, is because I know how much work goes into being an agent. So what made you decide to take that leap and be like, okay, this is the industry I'm going to focus on?
I think like I've always had a love for fashion. I've worked in like different aspects of fashion. I was a stylist for a little bit, and then I was like helping photographers on shoots. But agency work is something that I've always like loved the most, and it was the first job I ever had. Actually, I was interning at a really good agency in London, and yeah, like from then, from the age of about 18, like I started, and I've just loved it ever since. And it's just been like something I've really enjoyed, and something, it's probably like one of the only jobs that I've felt like happy doing. For like every other job has been quite not for me, but being an agent and like being able to work with models and grow their careers and see them do so amazingly is something that, you know, I really enjoy and I really love, and like proud mother moment, you know.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, leading on from that then, based on like how you got into the industry respectively, what has kind of been a highlight of your career so far? Because I obviously know that you guys have done amazing work. Because obviously I see it day in, day out. But for those who don't know you, what would you say is the highlight of your career, the project that you're most proud of, would you say? And anyone is free to jump in here.
I had my first TV commercial last year, which I was really, really proud of, and I'm still like buzzing off it. So
Congrats, Jess.
What was it for?
it was for F&F, the Tesco clothing brand.
Cool.
Nice.
But it was like the best job I've had ever. Like I learned so much, and I wish I could do it all over again. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Congrats, that's amazing. Anybody else?
I'll say last year when I went to Foot Asylum in Manchester, you know, I had to wake up early. Well, I guess I got the taste of, you know, the actual modeling world. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I like that. What about you, Zsanett?
I'm debating. I don't know which one to say because I'm really going into commercials now, and I've done a few. I've done like a Sony headphone commercial last week, which is really cool. But throughout my whole career, I think had you asked me last year, I would have said some like high fashion stuff I've done, like Fashion Week or something. But I did the new Barbie movie this summer, which is really cool. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna come out in the summer.
It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
The Barbie movie? What, the
Yeah.
one with
Yeah.
what's his face?
Margot Robbie.
Oh no! Oh my god, that's so cool! Oh,
Thank you.
I'm excited for that. That's so cool. And Tamara, I'm sure you've managed so many different jobs. So what would you say has been your highlight so far?
I think it's hard to just pinpoint one. I could say like, you know, the ones that, oh, some of my models have done Nike and Adidas and stuff like that. But for me, like a few years ago, I'd done a show in collaboration with a designer, and it wasn't a huge show. It wasn't like anything massive, but it was probably the first time in my career that I kind of felt like, wow, like I'm actually doing something, like I'm actually creating something that I've always dreamed of. And I cast the whole models for the show, and like seeing your name on like the backdrop, it was a really like beautiful experience for me. And like the models that I casted were like close friends. Some of them are really close friends that I've just made through being their agent, and it was a really beautiful like experience that I cherish. Right.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Okay, so because we like to keep it real over here at Contact, let's go to the flip side then. Obviously, I mean, I recently finished the masterclass hosted by Naomi Campbell, and she was breaking it down, and she was just explaining the tough realities of being a model, which I don't think I appreciated as much before. I mean, I was like, yeah, okay, you know, they have to wake up early, like Akira said, you know, they've got to hop on planes and do all this traveling and stuff. But the way she was explaining it, I was like, wow, that's a lot of work. So with that in mind, then, what would you say has been the lowest point of your career, or the point in your career where you almost felt like giving up because it was frustrating? What was that moment for you, and how did you kind of pull through and overcome that?
Which moment? There's so many.
Ask a model to complain and they can't shut up.
Yeah. I think like just the constant rejection is brutal. Like
Yeah,
it's tiring just every day, like the rejection, it's real. It's hard, yeah.
Wow.
you
Anyone
definitely like not gone.
go on, go on, go on.
Now just like adding on to that, yeah, you definitely need like a tough skin, you know. I guess like I always kind of knew like that I was always gonna not expect no, but you know, that's always gonna be happening. Like I can't go into each job expecting everyone's gonna say yes to each casting. I guess like the most annoying ones are it's like when you get to like the second stage. It's like I had one for Adidas, but it's like I was a backup. So it's like, but I still got. It's like it's funny how it works because you're a backup, but it's like if someone drops out, then you're there. But if not, you're just a backup and you don't really go through to the next stage.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
And how does that feel as a model? Just being in that state of uncertainty.
Definitely just have to take it in your stride. I think like there's always going to be rejection. I think that's just part of it. And I think you really just can't take it personally. Like it's all business decisions. And what really helps me personally is with rejection is it's a business decision. And if I had a business, you know, like it's not personal, like ever. And I think you just have to remind yourself it's hard, but it's business, it's work. You can't have it all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So, in line with that, then what are the not so glamorous side of modeling? Obviously, modeling can be very glamorous. You know, people see you on the billboards. I mean, people are snapping you and being like, "Oh my God, I just saw you in TK Maxx. I just saw you here. I just saw you there." That's the glamorous side of it. People don't see the hours it took to get that shot. So what would you guys say is the kind of least glamorous side about modeling? What are some of the bits that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily realize when it comes to modeling?
I would say like looking after your body, your skin, doing training. You know, there's no one really to guide you how to be a model. There's not really like someone that's by your side telling you you have to eat this, you have to wake up at a certain time, or you have to go to casting. So it's, you know, and being like consistent, always being consistent in not the way how you look, but like in how you present yourself. Because you always want to be at your best when you go into just casting or when you get a job. Because through a job, they could book you again. Because it's just how you present yourself and how, yeah. So.
I think just following up, like from an agent's perspective, I think some of the most not so glamorous moments is having to deal, because I used to sign quite younger models, like from 16, 17, 18, and they're like so new to the industry, and they would go to castings and they would be absolutely like mortified after, because either the casting directors or the photographers like, oh, you're too fat, or you're this, you're that, and it's a lot to handle. And you know, I think that was, from my perspective, the hardest to deal with, because you want to kind of like look after your models and be the best agent you can for them, but also you have to kind of be the person to tell them like, this is the industry and you probably will get this 100 times over. So that's like the hardest part for me, and not so glamorous side, I would say.
Yeah. And I guess as an agent, you probably have the hard job of being, I mean, I read it somewhere and it was talking about how an agent is like their client's therapist, their best friend, their shoulder to cry on, their counselor. Like, is that the reality for you?
Yeah, like a lot of my models, I'm really close with, I'm really close with them, and I always want to give them the space for them to feel that they can come to me. But yeah, I've dealt with models that are literally like breaking down and crying, and it's like it's a hard, you have to kind of balance it, because you want to try to support them and be the like almost like a friend in a way, but then you also have to like look at it as like you are their agent, and you kind of have to make them understand that this is the reality and you can't sugarcoat things, because if you sugarcoat it too much, they're going to keep going into with this mindset of, oh, everything's lovely and it's just going to be so easy to pass through and stuff. But it's not. The modeling industry, that's why I salute models, because I definitely could not like go through like some of the stuff that models do have to go through in terms of their looks and being consistently picked at, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it must be really, really tough. Before we proceed, sorry.
Adding onto that thought, I think to be constantly be exposed for judgment within this industry, and some of the people, as you said very early, very early, when you start as a young girl, you don't, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot before, but you don't have that state of mind where you can filter out what actually is a criticism or is just something that is not towards you, something that how the person are. Because when I was 14, I worked with, people 22, 25, 30, 40. It's a complete other generation, and it's just something that is hard to comprehend when you're at a young age, for those starting young, and for those starting, as an adult, it will be a big hit to get on a daily comments and criticism. That's one thing, but the consequence of that is that when then you look in the mirror and you try to tick all those boxes that they want from you, is how you treat that. And that's where you have to be very strong mentally, I think, to like not let those come to you, know who you are. And, as you said, Kira, take care of your body, your mind and your soul, and try to be healthy, try to stay healthy.
Such great advice, especially for newbies, for those wanting to take the leap into modeling. I'm just going to link now to a question that came through on the Q&A from our live audience. They actually asked, okay, where are you all based? Is living in London or Manchester beneficial? This obviously is a huge question, a question that even I receive on a regular basis from models who come from kind of smaller towns, smaller locations, villages, that sort of thing. And they're like, okay, do I need to be living in London, in Manchester, in Bristol, in Brighton, one of these big cities for me to make it as a model? So why don't you answer the first bit, where you all based, and tell us what your opinion is on kind of needing to live in London or Manchester in order to be successful as a model.
So I don't live in London. I live near Gatwick Airport, so in Surrey. It's like an hour to get to London. For me, I don't feel like I need to live in the city. The only thing I would say is that you need to be willing to travel and be willing to give a lot of your own time to castings and auditions and things like that. But I think if you've got the drive, I don't think it's necessary to live in the city, from my experience.
Akira, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, but I live in London, so I don't know. It sounds a bit bad, but yeah, it does get expensive, if I'm being real, like all of this casting, and like it all adds up. So it does make it convenient to live in a city, but at the same time, yeah, you don't really have to live in a city if you're like dedicated, and it's also good to have like a side job, because there's rainy season in modeling. It's not every time you're getting booked, so it's like you have to, if you really want to make it, you have to get like a second income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tamara, you are the agent here, so I mean, if you had a model come to you and be like, oh, Tamara, do I need to move? Do I need to reposition myself strategically? What would your advice to them be?
I don't think you need to live in London or a major city to to succeed, but I do think you need to have the passion, the drive, and the willingness, because sometimes castings can be the same day and very like last minute. So as long as you're willing to like travel and make the effort and make the time, then living in the city is not necessary. But obviously it would probably be a lot easier. Yeah, no, I definitely don't think you need to live in the city to succeed. And also it's so expensive in London, you're probably better off just living outside.
It is expensive in London. Zsanett, what do you think?
I live in London, so it's very hands-on for me, and I do get a lot of last minute. So like I had a shoot today, I got that yesterday. I don't necessarily like having last minute shoots, but you know, with it, like, yes, you have to be willing to travel, but when you're modeling, you probably will be modeling worldwide, as well. And in this age after COVID, we have a lot of direct bookings. So I don't go many face-to-face castings anymore, just much less. So I don't think you'd have to move to London to be successful model. I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, that's some good advice there. Good advice there, because I know that is something that a lot of new models stress about, because they're like, oh, like I'm not in the right place. I don't have the connections. I don't have the network. But I guess that's where a platform like Contact steps in. You don't necessarily have to be positioned in that place, but on Contact, you still have the ability, the access to some really, really amazing bookers. So that's part of the important work that we're trying to do here at Contact. Leading on from that then, let's cast our minds back a bit to when you first did start your modeling journey. What was one thing that you really wish you knew before you started? Like now you've experienced it, you're like, okay, that happened. You know, if I was warned about that, maybe I would have been able to avoid that. But what is that one thing that you're thinking now that, okay, if I knew this before I started my modeling career, things may have gone a bit smoother, a bit easier for me?
I'll say don't be complacent. Just keep on going, keep on pushing. Every day there's an opportunity. And yeah, it's physically, mentally draining, but it's like, if you keep on pushing, you always get there. Yeah.
Nice.
I think that it's quite businessy. I think you've got to be quite business minded in modeling industry. You have to be good at emails, you have to be good at communication, and like there's just a lot to it. It's not as like simple as it seems, I don't think.
Definitely agree with you there, Jess. Especially thinking about the back end of our Contact platform and the different requests that you need to fulfill, and just making sure that you arrive on set at the right time with the right things, and you have the mood board and you have the casting tape, and there's a lot of moving parts. Definitely a lot of moving parts.
A lot of apps.
Yes. What about you, Zsanett?
Yes, you are your own like manager at the end of the day. So I feel like you have to make sure that what you show of yourself is what you want to present to the world, because I can show that I'm a commercial model, I can show that I'm more high fashion-y. I mean, one can be everything, but it's really what you're selling yourself to be is what they will buy, and your look is what you've got. I don't know. Yeah.
I like that. You have to be your own manager. I love that. especially because I think I'm going to be plugging Contact all night, but especially because on Contact we encourage all of the models, all of the photographers, all of the hair and makeup artists on the platform to be creative freelancers. That's what they are. So we encourage them to take control over their careers. That's
And another thing, I'm sorry, is how touchy this industry is. I don't know if you guys are just so for you to know that random people will touch you all the time. And when I started, it was a bit weird for me. I was also obviously a child. And yeah, it's just something to get used to, that they will treat you as your, well, the object, really, the look. And they have the right to, you know, do everything. I mean, not everything, obviously, but it's a very touchy industry.
I see. That's a good one. That was not what. Okay, that's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot.
Thought we should deviate from.
No, that's so right. I mean, on set, you know, you'll have people touching your hair, touching your outfit, yeah, touching your face with makeup. So yeah, I imagine if you don't like people touching you, then modeling is probably not the industry for you. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love the next question that we got from our live audience because it ties really nicely into what I was going to ask you guys anyway, and that was kind of, you know, do you agree that the modeling industry is competitive? And like, so what's your advice on how to stand out? So the question that we got from the audience was talking about, you know, how do you get signed as a petite model in London, for example? Or, you know, what should you do to increase your chances? So in that same vein, you know, what is your advice, generally speaking, on kind of how to stand out within the industry? And I'm going to go to Tamara for this one. As the agent, what would you kind of advise kind of models in terms of getting signed?
I think like in the beginning when I first became an agent, it was definitely like you need to be super tall, you need to be super skinny. Like there was such like strict ways of being, but now, like especially working with Contact, like I feel like being a petite model or being a model that doesn't necessarily fit the model standards isn't such a problem anymore. And a lot of my models, they're not just models, they're artists, they're dancers, they're singers, they're performers. Like there's more to them than just the face. And I think that's what will make you stand out the most, is what else can you bring to the table other than just a pretty face, because the industry has changed so much now. And even a lot of the castings that I work on, you know, they ask for real people, you know, the people that can play sports and the people that are poets. And like, so just being able to bring your authentic personality into the job of the casting, I think will make you stand out way more than just kind of being like a statue and just trying to fit this standard model procedure. Like being yourself and showing what you can bring, I think will be beneficial.
I love that answer. That's such a good answer, especially because of recent. I've been talking to a lot of creatives on the platform that are multifaceted. So these are creatives that do different things and have different interests. And one thing I always say to our creatives on the platform is, you know, let your personality shine through. Like use your bio. Don't just like, oh, like, hi, this is me, this is where I live. Like use that. That's how, you know, bookers can get a good sense and a good feel of who you are as a model. Zsanett, did you want to say something there?
I think like what makes you stand out is, besides your looks, obviously, is be professional. And even when you get a rejection, like I've had situations in the past where I've not got a job from a client, but you know, you were there and you handled it professionally. You thank them for your time, da 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 da, and then they booked me for another one. So you definitely have to stay professional in any case, because I think that's very attractive to these business-minded people. And get a killer portfolio. So I've got loads of pictures, but I don't include any that's just good enough. I'm very critical. Be critical, obviously, but be realistic as well. And what you think, oh, I can do better, then try to get your best pictures, really. And again, what you want to show to the world, and then present that.
Love that. I love that one especially. One thing that I like to tell creatives often is that, let your portfolio be a representation of the work that you want to be booked for. I think that for me is so important. Yes, I mean it's great if you get regularly booked for editorials, but if editorials aren't what you're interested in, then that shouldn't be 90% of your portfolio. You should have content in there that displays your versatility, that displays the sort of work that you really want to be booked for. So I really love how you mentioned that, Zsanett. That's so important. Jess, do you have something to add there?
I was going to say just what you're saying about creating portfolio. I think you can use Instagram as a really great tool as well. Like, I create images like at home on self-timer or whatever, or get friends to take them, of the images that I would love to create for clients at some point. I think you can kind of like cheat your way in a portfolio with Instagram when you're starting off as well. I think obviously it's really important to have professional images and be good on camera in that way, but I think Instagram is a really great tool, and to be consistent on it, and to also just follow the right people on Instagram. Like, if you love a model, follow them. If you there's a music video that you love, find the casting director for that. Just be sneaky and be like proactive on social media. I think it really helps.
I love that. Akira?
Yeah, just adding on to that. Yeah, it's I agree on the Instagram stuff, and also like TikTok and other platform, even Twitter. Like you can go through the messages. Sometime until I don't know if they do any like open calls and stuff, but yeah. What I was gonna say was my niche is like sport and athletics, because I used to do boxing, so it's like I try to focus my my page on like what I love, and I'll say I've been trying to work with more photographers, because it's like I always need like constant improvement, always need constant people to tell me how I'm doing, is it the correct way, or do you like how it looks? So not just work with any photographers, but always be in the environment of where you're always in that loop of the fashion, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on.
There's one thing that I think is really important as well, is like having good digitals, because I feel like a lot of the time, even if you're a new model and you don't have a portfolio, just having good digitals is really important, because that's what we send as an agent to clients. And I've had a lot of models that are super interested in becoming models, but they send images of like selfies or really bad images. And I think having good digitals will really be a good step forward if you want to get into the industry.
That's so true. You're literally saying what I say every single day, Tamara. I love it. You're absolutely right. Really strong digitals are so important. That is essentially what the book is going to see. And in that kind of split second that they look at them, they're going to decide, okay, is this someone I want to work with or someone I don't want to work with? Like, it's literally that quick. So having strong digitals is so important. You guys have spoken about working with clients, and Jess earlier mentioned that as a model you have to be business minded. Now a huge part of that is managing client relationships, right? I mean, as a model you're going to be working with all sorts of people, right, on all sorts of projects. So how do you guys go about managing those client relationships? How do you deal with difficult clients that are being a bit too much, being a bit too extra? How do you kind of navigate that as a model? Obviously you want to get paid, so you need to do the job, but the the set day is just, there's just a lot of friction, there's a lot of tension. So how do you manage that as a model?
I feel like at the end of the day, you're just only gonna be working with them for 1 day or 2 day for a week, you know, so you can get through it. That's why I tell myself there are obviously some very tough people out there in the fashion industry. And eventually when it gets like too much, if you do feel uncomfortable, speak up. Always speak up for yourself, and because you'll regret it later. Why didn't I stand up for myself? You know, you're just as human as they are, and you're here not just a mannequin, you're here as a human being. So you know, but yeah, it's constantly rotates, the rotation of clients, so it can be a good thing that you might never see them again.
I love that answer. That's a good answer. Jess, what do you think?
I think it's really important to stay professional. On set, in emails, everything, of course, you have to be professional. I think it's also important to communicate though. Like if you have any issues or if you're not sure of something or you just want more information, you're always well within your rights to ask the client for a little bit more information. It's absolutely fine. It's not going to make you look silly. It's going to make you look involved. So I think just don't be afraid to communicate, but always keep it professional. And yeah.
I love that. Oh, that's great. That's brilliant. I think, yeah, definitely try to keep as professional as humanly possible. But, you know, like you also rightly said, you know, if there is a situation that's uncomfortable, that's, you know, really going too far, then obviously do speak up for yourself, because it's very important to. Just because you're the talent doesn't mean that, you know, people get to walk all over you. Absolutely not. You just have to, yeah, have professionalism, but, you know, it has to be appropriate, regardless and respective of what the situation might be. Now, Akira, the question I want to pose to you is, because you actually made a comment earlier, you spoke about, you know, as a model, sometimes there are, you know, tough blankets of time, should we say.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, you know, having a part-time job. The question I want to ask you is it financially, like, is it easy to financially plan as a freelance model? And if so, what are your best tips for doing so?
So the job is really varies. You know, one day you're on a high, you're getting way above that normal wage that you'll be working for your part-time. And one day is like, you know, you're just getting by just enough. I don't know, a tip wise, it just, if it's, because every month I don't feel like, for me anyway, it's not like consistent. I'm not getting like I'm not getting booked every weekend, but I do like get booked. But I'll say save, so and like always put money aside, and have a plan B what you can fall on, because I don't see modeling as my main thing. To be honest, I see modeling, for me personally, to network, because I like design. I'm more into like the product design. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered.
That's a good tip. Definitely save for a rainy day. It can be inconsistent. So you don't want to find yourself in a situation where, you know, you've had a shoot, you spent everything, and now the next month you're kind of looking around like, what's happening? So definitely that's a really, really good tip. Ladies, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think it's really inconsistent. It's horrible. It's the worst part of this job. Honestly, it's I hate it. My tip though is there are so many different parts of like the modeling industry. So I'm a model, but I'm also a fit model, which means I go into clients and help fit their clothes to make sure they fit correctly. So I like work as like a real life mannequin, I suppose. So I think my tip would be use the skills that you've got in modeling, and then try and transfer them into other areas so that you've just got more opportunity for work. There are so many different kinds of areas of modeling, and it's important that you like just utilize them as much as you can.
Love that. That's interesting. I'm all here for models with transferable skills, so I love that. I love that. Zsanett, do you want to add anything to that?
When I feel like I have less jobs whatsoever, I put more energy into testing and then having new work, and you know, keep that consistency on socials and towards your agents whatsoever. But as you said, there are other parts of this fashion industry where you can get networks, and like if you need money, you know, because you didn't have the job, or you got paid in 4 months, or it's late or whatsoever, you can always have some things to fall back on. Also, I started a bit of acting as well lately, which is really cool. And then you can also, I guess, do like hostessing jobs or whatsoever. There are loads of things within this like modeling industry that it's much easier than to book a big shoot. So get networks, you know, talk to people, and reach out, you know. I've recently started to reach out to brands and photographers and whoever I wanted to work with. And, you know, it's always a nice way to get to know people and work with new people and like introduce yourself. And that's a possibility for you to maybe then be booked for by them, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So you know, adding on to that, yeah, like the reason I work so much with or try to reach out to photographers, because I feel like they're quite big in the industry. Because one time I done a shoot with a photographer and she recommended me. She put my name already forward for a shoot. So it's like I only worked with her once, but it's like I don't know, it's just when it's genuine, it's like, or they just like how they work with you, they'll put you forward like that. So yeah, definitely networking is key, and like yeah, speaking to new people is very key.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some really, really great advice there. Now, Tamara, we're gonna sorry, go on.
No, I was going to add one thing. It's not advice, but I just think it's really important to know, anybody that's new to the industry, that rates and fees can change so drastically from job to job. I just think it's important to remember that, because there's no rule of thumb. It's like, it's very different.
That's a really, really good point. You're absolutely right. I mean, one booker can look at you and be like, okay, you're worth 1K to me. Another booker can look at you and be like, you're more 200 to me. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of disparity there, and it can be difficult, especially, yeah, being booked 3 times, but the actual monetary value you receive from each of those bookings could be very drastically different, like you just said. So it makes budgeting and financial planning that little bit extra harder. But ultimately, you know, being a creative freelancer does give you the freedom and the flexibility that you wouldn't get in a 9-to-5, or, you know, in something that was a bit more restrictive. So I guess that's the payoff, if you like, of being a model and being in one of the best industries in the world, I would have to say. Tamara, I wanted to come to you and bring you in here, because especially for kind of new models, I mean, one thing they're always desperate for is to get an agent, right? They're always like, I need an agent. I need to be signed. Like my career doesn't start until I've been signed. You know, what is actually the benefit of having an agent to a model? What's the actual benefit? And I'm asking you that off the back of another one of the questions that we received from the audience, which was like, you know, what happens if you have an agent and they're not really pushing you, they're not really giving you the support? So from your perspective, what would you say is the actual benefit and the role that the agent is supposed to play in a model's career?
I think the benefit of having an agent, if they're a, if they're a good one, is that they're going to push you in your career and kind of like, especially for newer models. I think maybe as you get more successful and more like you've networked enough and made enough clients to kind of have the ability to kind of work on your own, I think you may necessarily not need an agent, especially with where the modeling agency is going. But I think for new models, I think it is important to have an agent, someone that can push you in the right direction, who has the contacts, who has the ability to kind of maybe do the things that as a new model you may not be able to do. Because when you're going into the industry, even as an agent, you can feel lost. You like, where do you start? Like, you know, who do you contact? Where can I, like, how can I get my foot in the door? So having an agent, I think, is a good step to get your foot in the door. But I guess in the like, I have a lot of friends that are models, and you know, after about 10 years, they're agent free, or they work with non-exclusive agencies, and they're mainly freelance and independent. And I think that will probably always work best for more experienced models. But I think, yeah, for newer models and people that are just kind of just starting out, having an agent is always a plus and a positive.
Perfect. I love that. Does anyone want to add anything to that? Okay.
I've been modeling for 4.5 years, and I only just got an agent last week. So
Congrats.
we'll see. I'll come back. I'll let you know.
And I think as well, actually, you need to make sure that whatever agent that you get, that they're right for you. Because sometimes some agents are very good at pushing editorial models. Like, that's their forte. They like work with all editorial high-end models, and that's where they are more experienced in. Or you could have a model that maybe works with more commercial faces and more like petite models, or, you know. And I think whenever you're looking for an agent or an agency, making sure it's the right fit for you is really important. Because I've worked with models sometimes that I felt like, yeah, like, you know, I'd be a great agent to them, and it just doesn't really work out, because what how I want to push a model and how I want to see them grow may be different in what they want to do and how they want to kind of expand and grow in the industry. So yeah, making the right choice and finding the best agency is also really important. So don't just jump in, I would say, as a tip. Don't just jump in with any agent or agency. You know, look around, test it out, and yeah.
How I looked for agencies as well is I go on their website and see the other models, and if I see myself next to them, or I see that, oh, I'm similar to them or something. Although this because I'm doing what you said, basically I've been modeling 8 years. I had exclusive back when I started, but now I'm doing a lot of my own management and being self-employed and freelance. I filter and I work with a lot of agents and people that I know and agencies. And it's also nice to, well, it's not necessary, but in my opinion, it's also nice to have an agency that has a smaller amount of models. So let's take Elite. They've got hundreds of models. Obviously, they're worldwide. So if I'm in London and there's like 15 in town or 30 in town, that's also how it is. But I like to work with agencies that have less models, and they take that kind of means that they will put more effort and time and energy into you, and whether they have characters like you in their agency. And if they do, that means they will present the same girls, the same looking, the same characteristic girls to the client. And I recently signed with an agency in LA, and they basically said they don't have anyone that resembles or that's my character. And I saw they have like 30 models, you know, or 40 in town, which is a really good thing, because that means that they need a person like me. They need my character. They have clients for me, but also they don't have a lot of other models for me to compete with within the agency. There's enough models to compete with outside the agency.
I love that. Akira, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think when you're starting out, I feel like it's important to have an agency because I mean, for me, like I had to do a lot of the work, or like a lot of freelance. I had to get it from like Instagram or friends telling me, oh yeah, I got a shoot, come through. So like when I got signed to Contact, it was a really good step for me because I guess it kind of gets your foot into the modeling world. And there's this agency I've been looking at, like W models for a long time, and I signed with them I think last year because of someone that was from Contact, Julia. I think she left last year. So for me, I feel like because I'm kind of new, so it's like, yeah, I feel like agencies are important until you until you get your experience where you can start doing your own freelances.
Absolutely. And what's really great, again, plugging Contact, is that we have a really awesome agency partnership program, which is why we're able to partner with agents like Tamara. So she's the founder of Seven Scout. So we're able to partner with her, meaning that her models, they have access to the amazing opportunities that we get through on our booking platform, but then they still have the one-to-one talent development support that Tamara can really give them. So it really enables models to have the best of both worlds, and that is why I really do think Contact is a really great place for a model to be, but I am biased. Now I'm very conscious of the time, but I really want to squeeze this question in because this is actually something that I've been very curious about. The more I read about the modeling industry, the more I read about the requirements and how chaotic and hectic it can be at times. How do you models maintain a work-life balance? I mean, I'm just thinking about some of the models on the platform. I mean, on Monday they can be in Edinburgh. By Wednesday they're in Paris. By Friday they're somewhere else. And it's like, how do you have a social life? How do you have friends? How do you have family? How do you have relationships? So I just kind of want to hear from you guys. How do you kind of navigate that as a model when your industry is just so hectic, so last minute as well? To add, it's not like they give you a good amount of notice. Sometimes you get told the day before. So like, how do you manage that? How do you navigate that, especially as young people in the industry?
In a nutshell, I don't. There's a lot of times but I feel like I'm just working and I don't have a social life, and that's part of the experience, just because there are so many last minute things. So imagine you plan something for yourself, a little date, a little going out, something, and then it won't happen because you gotta be in Paris or something, which sounds really bad, right? But at the end of the day, you want to have friends and you want to take care of your interpersonal connections, which is really important for your health. So there have been occasions where I just didn't take the job because I felt like I mentally need some support and I need to see my friends because it's been too much. But it's hard. I don't think it's something to be consciously aware about, and to be like, okay, I'm gonna work my ass off this week, but next week I'm gonna have 2 days where I'm gonna see my family, go to the flower market, get my favorite bubble tea or something, So just you'll get used to it, I think.
Like that.
I do think you just have to embrace it, but I think just like trying to have as many small routines as you can. So like just try and get like good night's sleep as much as you can, and like drink lots of water. I think you have to like learn to let go a little bit, but always make sure that you've got some routines in place just so you keep yourself kind of level and calm throughout the week. And yeah, just enjoy it. It's fun.
Akira, do you ever go on holiday? The models go on holiday?
I've not been booked for one yet, but I'd go on a personal holiday because I went back to Japan. I'm very family oriented, so it's like I find it hard when I get a last minute, but you know what? That's my bread, that's my income. So it's, you know, I do try to balance it out by planning way ahead, but like you said, it does not work that way.
Well, I am praying for you guys. Definitely do hang in there. To kind of wrap up, then, I mean, you guys have shared a lot of really helpful stuff, as I knew you would. What would kind of be your top tips for aspiring models out there?
Keep on going, man. You know, there's always opportunity. You know, it doesn't matter if you get rejection, just keep on going. You know, you got this.
I would
I think
probably
it's really. Go on.
no, I would probably just say not giving up and try as much as you can to believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, if this is the job that you want to do, and if this is the career that you want to do, the only person that can really make it, you can have agencies and you can do this and that, but it's only going to be down to you. Staying confident and just to kind of go back to what you just said, I think it's really important to make time for yourself. Don't overwork yourself and burn yourself out. And yeah, the industry is brutal, but just keep at it, and I'm sure they'll be able to get really far.
I think
Bet
also
on
with,
yourself. So
I think it's really easy to try and show a facade of yourself and try to be someone else because of the great, like the social media presence of everyone, and just always which is great, you know, to evolve and be more and try things out, but just be yourself in a way where you enjoy it, and when you enjoy it you will never want to stop, you know, because and it will keep you going, and take care of yourself, of your body and your mind, and of the whole everything.
Brilliant advice. Anything else you want to add? Anyone wants to add?
I think just be confident. Just like, it's really cliche, but there's only one you. So I think if you're authentic and kind and proactive, and if you just make sure that you're looking after yourself, then you just have to go for it. But yeah, make sure that you look after yourself. It's like the main thing in anything, in any job, right? But it's important.
Absolutely. So that last one there is very good advice, especially because I just noticed on the questions that someone asked, you know, how do you balance acting, work and modeling when everything's so last minute? You know, can you reject jobs if there's a clash? I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything that you guys have been saying has been put in that direction anyway. You know, you have to take care of yourself, and you have to prioritize. You can't do everything all at once. There are times where you need to focus on work, of course. There are times where you need to focus on your personal well-being, because if you neglect that, your work will suffer inevitably. So that's why, you know, it's really important. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I can literally talk to you guys forever. I think you've shared a lot of really interesting stuff here. So thank you so much for your honesty, and thank you so much for being candid. And yeah, I thank you so much for your time as well.
thank you so much. It's really fun.
Awesome. And thank you guys as well for listening in at home. I hope you found this super useful. Thank you so much for engaging and interacting. We really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much for getting involved in this first deep dive. We'll definitely be having more, so do stay tuned. And if you haven't heard of the Contact platform, please be sure to visit contact.xyz for all the information about how we can support you as a creative freelancer. So thank you very much, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye, guys.